Think before you speak, read before you think. This was a quote from the author and public speaker Fran Lebowitz. Although she didn't speak those words in the context of teleprompter fodder, I felt like it kind of applies for this video. Now, a teleprompter is simply a device for displaying prepared text to a speaker or performer. Or in layman's terms, it's a script. And I'm actually using one right now because it makes me look and sound pretty smart. It's why anyone uses a script. It allows a presenter to give their polished thoughts in a concise manner while exuding confidence, which elicits credibility. There is, however, a bit of an art to audibly reading a script. We've all seen a PowerPoint presentation by Monotone Mary or Boring Barry.
As you can see, Hampton DeVille blows the competition away. And star wipe, the end.
In which they read right off of their slides with an inflection so flat.
How flat is it?
It is so flat that I think it fell flatter than my attempt at this joke because I have no punchline. Anywho, I'm Chad Hembree from the Learning Group, and today on For Your Information, I'm going to talk to you about how you can attain the skill of reading out loud without sounding scripted. Read without sounding scripted. Take one. And only one. Verbal cues are the straw that mixes the drink of a great presentation. Using the right facial expressions, making eye contact, and appropriate hand gestures all bring subliminal value, but none are as valuable as confidence. An audience will just simply hear facts, but they'll listen to confidence.
60% of the time, it works every time.
And for your information, that brings us to point number one. Focus on building confidence and worry about the details later. Now, it doesn't matter if you're introducing yourself to a potential sales client, you're in a Zoom meeting with dozens of familiar colleagues, or presenting a finished project to a group of managers. It's still extremely common to get nervous before making a presentation. In fact, 75% of people are said to have feelings of anxiety leading up to these situations. It's called glossophobia, the fear of public speaking. Now, this fear doesn't necessarily go away entirely, but it can get better with the right preparation. Most fear, as we know, is based on some form of the unknown. So it is going to be ideal for you to create an environment that is familiar to you in order to generate confidence, even if it's fabricated and you're totally freaking out on the inside. Now, there are two subpoints in building confidence that I want you to remember as you're putting a script or outline together with keeping the realm of familiarity in mind. First, that less is more. What I mean by that is know your audience and get to the point. I've been in enough meetings, and I'm sure you have too, that felt as if the presenter was reading an entire phone book when all the audience needed was the number for Grandma's house.
Grandma, here we come!
So avoid being overly descriptive and keep the information minimal for better audience retention. The second form of instruction to create that sense of familiarity and confidence while presenting is that when you are in the final stage of writing your script, be sure that you're writing it to sound like you. You can do this by using words within your own personal vocabulary.
Knock it off, Napoleon. Make yourself a dang quesadilla.
For example, your coworker could likely be better described as bubbly rather than effervescent. Not worrying how to pronounce four-syllable words will lend itself to limiting anxiety and increasing confidence. Just be you. You're probably awesome.
Hey!
For your information, number two is to give those listening ears a ride. Now, earlier I referenced everyone's favorite spreadsheet snooze fest, led by Monotone Mary and Boring Barry. Now, those presenters are creating a whole lineage of lame Larrys and sleepy Sierras. And yes, I can do those names all day long. As human beings, before we hear the words that are spoken, we listen to the tone in which they're being said. So the tone of your voice will influence how the audience will absorb the message that you're delivering. How do you improve your tone or inflection? Well, it starts with repetition and being very intentional. Think of it as a roller coaster. Monotone Mary and Boring Barry speak in a flat, uninspiring way. It audibly looks like this, a flat plane.
Wow.
That's not an exciting roller coaster. It's a boring commute to the office. You want the audience on an audible roller coaster that looks like this. And you do that by the inflections that you speak. The variety in your delivery will help your audience stay engaged. Now, there are several techniques you can use, and I want to focus on 3 as quickly as possible here. You can speak fast to generate excitement. It gives off, should I say, a hint of being effervescent.
Good one.
Secondly, you can take a brief moment to pause, which allows the audience to digest the information that was just spoken. It also allows you to take a moment to collect your thoughts and even take a breath for some of you who forget to do that while presenting.
With emphasis on human resource development, thank you.
The third technique contrasts the first, and that is to slow down your words, to bring emphasis on what is being said. Now let me demonstrate how to use all 3 of these techniques in a single sentence. And you may want to go back and rewind this a couple of times in order to study it more closely. All Covered has served in an IT consulting capacity nationwide to thousands of organizations. Okay, now let's dissect that. First, did you notice that I spoke faster in the first half of that script? The reason was because I wanted the audience to be excited that All Covered is trusted to be the IT consultant for many companies nationwide. I followed that up by a brief pause that was nothing more than a single beat, allowing the audience to absorb what I was so excited about. I continued by reading the remaining text much slower in order to bring importance to the generalized number of thousands of organizations, because having that large of a clientele brings an incredible amount of credibility to the company, and I wouldn't want the audience to miss that.
The Wrap It Up box.
I know being mindful of your inflection is a lot to consider, sentence by sentence, throughout an entire presentation. It may seem laborsome, but as I said previously, it needs to be very intentional. If you want to deliver a dynamic presentation that will convey your message to an audience who will absorb and react to it, these are necessary techniques. Don't speak like a monotone Mary or a boring Barry. Give your voice and audience a ride. I go back to the beginning and our friend Fran Lebowitz when she says, think before you speak, read before you think. Do these things before making the scripted presentation, no matter how mundane you may feel a meeting may be. It will be inspiring to those you are speaking to, and Konica Minolta will be a stronger company for it. For the Learning Group, I'm Chad Hembree, and this was For Your Information.
Giving shape to ideas. Konica Minolta.